What's up YouTube? I am Brad Browning and I'm going to share one very simple, very effective tip that you can apply right now to dramatically improve the health of your marriage. In fact, this tip is something that every married couple should be using, and it's also something you probably won't have thought about before now. It's also something that applies to all relationships, not just marriages, so you can benefit from this tip even if you're not actually married. Now, in any romantic relationship, there's always going to be situations where one partner is, upset or unhappy about something that their spouse has said or done. These complaints are totally natural and unavoidable. But what is within your control is how you address these complaints with your partner. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. So let me give you a few common examples that you might have said to your spouse from time to time. You never do any laundry. I wish you could just wash your own clothes for once. Or another example, why can't you ever show up on time? You're always late when we're meeting our friends. Or how about, you always spend too much on Christmas gifts. Why can't you ever control your spending? And finally, I hate how you always make me pick up the kids from school. And honestly, I could come up with countless other similar examples, as I'm sure you can. Now, these are typical, everyday type grievances that most of us have said to our spouse from time to time in the past. Now, here's the question. What is wrong with those examples that I just gave? What is the one thing that they all have in common? If you said they're all hyperbolic and exaggerated, then you win the grand prize. That is exactly what all the examples I just mentioned have in common. They use what's called imprecise language. They're over-the-top exaggerations. Let's go back to the first example for a second. So imagine from your spouse's perspective, hearing, you never do any of your own laundry. Is that actually true? I doubt it. I bet they actually put on a load of laundry once in a while, even if it's only when you mention it. So in essence, your statement is not actually true. It's an exaggeration. This type of thing is human nature for most of us. When emotions are running high, we often use this kind of over-the-top, imprecise language to share our concerns. Now, there's a few problems with this type of exaggerated statement. First, it's just downright untrue. Your spouse has probably done laundry every now and then in the past, just not as often as you'd like them to. And this makes your statement factually incorrect, but it also comes across as condescending and righteous. And it's just annoying to hear because, it sounds like the person who's exaggerating is just trying to get a reaction out of the person they're talking to. Secondly, it's far too easy for your spouse to actually refute this accusation. Because after all, they only need to come up with one example of a time they did laundry in order to prove your statement wrong. So when it's that easy to give you an example to prove you wrong, that's going to be your spouse's natural reaction to this kind of exaggerated accusation. After all, technically you are wrong, so you're just giving your spouse an easy way to argue the point effectively. But, the reality is you may have a very valid complaint, and your spouse may not be doing their fair share of laundry. And there's no question that you have a right to ask your partner to change their behavior and help out with the laundry duties more often. But the key is to use precise language when phrasing your concerns to your spouse. So let's take a quick look back at the original examples that I gave earlier in the video and come up with another way to rephrase each compliment, or complaint I should say, with more precise language. Now, doing so is going to make your concern much less confrontational sounding to your spouse, and it's also going to generate a better response and be more likely to actually affect change in your partner's behavior. So instead of saying, you never do any laundry, I wish you could just wash your own clothes for once. You could say, it's frustrating when I have to do more than my fair share of the laundry. Can you please help out by putting on a load of laundry a few times per week? And instead of saying, why can't you ever show up on time? You're always late when we're meeting our friends. Instead, you could go with, I think our friends get frustrated when we show up late. Let's both make a more concerted effort to arrive on time in the future. Or, for example, you always spend too much on Christmas gifts. Why can't you ever control your spending? You could rephrase that one as, I'd like to make sure we don't overspend on Christmas gifts this year by agreeing on a budget and sticking to it. Now, as you can see, this isn't a big change, and it doesn't affect your ability to actually confront your partner over issues in the relationship that you're unhappy with. What it does do, however, is reduce the likelihood of things spiraling into a full-blown argument when you have to bring up, a point of contention with your spouse. And this simple change, where you use precise language in this situation rather than, exaggerated, imprecise language, is also more likely to get you the outcome that you're looking for. Now, I promise this really can and does work. I've seen many of my coaching clients make this subtle change, only to see a big change in the health and happiness of their marriage overall. So please give it a try yourself and let me know how it goes in the comments below the video. And if you want to learn more subtle tips and tricks like this, I suggest you learn about my dispute diffusing system by watching the full free tutorial video on my website, marriageguy.com. Now in that video, I share more details about the dispute diffusing system and how you can use it to make positive changes to your marriage starting right now. Again, you can watch that for free at marriageguy.com. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really hope you found this video helpful. I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye for now.